Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our 2013 NFL team preview. We're taking a look at the Indianapolis Colts. We're going to break down their offense, their defense, as well as their special teams to see what we can expect from the Colts this upcoming season.
Andrew Luck was as good as advertised last season, leading the Colts to the playoffs. Luck threw for over 4,000 yards and 23 touchdowns. Now, despite the good things he did, Luck also has a lot of things that he has to get cleaned up in his second season under center. 27 turnovers is unacceptable moving forward, and he's going to have to get better with his accuracy this year as well. That said, you still saw the skill set that made him a highly coveted player in the draft, and what was underrated about his game is his athletic ability, and I think that's something that could get showcased more this season. The Colts signed Matt Hasselbeck to be the backup and another coach on the sideline for Luck, and I also like third-string guy Chandler Harnish, who's a player that has a good set of skills, but is probably more likely headed back to the practice squad unless they decide to keep three quarterbacks. The running back position is an area of concern for me. Vic Ballard last year rushed for over 800 yards as a rookie, but at a pedestrian 3.9 yards a carry. Some of that can be attributed to the offensive line, but as a runner, you have to make things happen and create for yourself. Fifth-year man Donald Brown is still on the roster and has the most explosiveness out of the backs, but he isn't consistent enough to remain a starter. DeLone Carter showed promise 2 seasons ago, but has shown a propensity to put the football on the ground. You can't have that in the backfield. In the offseason, the Colts signed Ahmad Bradshaw, formerly of the New York Giants, and he's a dependable, scrappy runner, but he's always nursing nagging injuries. Now, in the 7th round in this year's draft, they selected Kerwin Williams, a jitterbug out of Utah State, who has tremendous acceleration, but they're mostly looking at him as just a kickoff return guy. So they'll need a team effort or one guy to step up and be a consistent threat to help take pressure off Andrew Luck in the passing game. I actually like the Colts tight ends more than I like the receiving core. Dwayne Allen and Kobe Fleener were both rookies last season and both showed promise. Allen had the better season, finishing 4th on the team in receptions with 45 and receiving yards with 521. He's a versatile player, more of an H-back in the mold of a Keith Jackson type of player. Fleener battled injuries but started to come on the latter part of the season, giving them a tight end that could be flexed out as a wide receiver and has good enough speed to get deep. And they also have 2 South Carolina Gamecocks as tight ends as well, and third-year player Wesley Saunders, who's a good all-around player and H-back type, and rookie Justice Cunningham, who was Mr. Irrelevant and who also could make the squad as the 4th tight end. At wide receiver, veteran Reggie Wayne did a phenomenal job last season, making the transition easier for the rookie quarterback by catching 106 passes for over 1,300 yards. He was Luck's go-to guy in the clutch, and T.Y. Hilton, another guy that had a very good rookie campaign, became an all-purpose threat for the Colts, finishing 3rd on the team in receptions, but averaged a whopping 17.2 yards a catch. He's expected to take the next step this season, and in free agency, the Colts signed former Raiders first-round pick Darius Hayward-Bay. I know Bay has some speed, but I'm not sure what he brings to the table as far as consistency is concerned. He'll have to step his game up, especially in the first 4 games of the season, as second-year player Levon Brazil will be suspended. Brazil is a guy that can be that third option, but now this setback only delays his development. Now, outside of Wayne and Hilton, there are some serious question marks about this group of wide receivers here in Indy. Much maligned offensive line of the Indianapolis Colts contributed to a pedestrian rushing attack and also contributed to Andrew Luck getting sacked 41 times last season. To their credit, they dealt with injuries all last year and should have a better 2013 campaign. Left tackle Anthony Costanzo, despite the injuries, got better each and every week and is coming into the season at 100%. Free agent signing Goshard Charles comes over from the Detroit Lions to help anchor the right side, and he was one of the Lions' best offensive linemen. And the Colts also signed Donald Thomas from New England. He's slated to start at guard, although I still hold out hope for the former 2011 second-round pick Ben Aguilana out of Villanova. If he can stay healthy, because I think he's an ideal fit at guard, he can give them exactly what they need. Mike McGlynn is the other starting guard, but he'll have to hold off 2 rookies that could see playing time in Khalid Holmes out of USC, and this is a guy that can play both guard and center, and Hugh Thornton, who can also play both guard and tackle. So there's some flexibility right there. And you can see this was priority number 1 for Indy this offseason. Samson Sattel returns as the starting center, and he was a bright spot along that offensive front. Health permitting, this will be a very improved unit in my opinion. I'm excited about the potential of the Colts defensive line. There's a lot of depth here. Last year, they drafted Josh Chapman out of Alabama, who suffered an ACL injury late in his college career and essentially used last season as a redshirt year. He's my pick to start at the nose tackle position, and there's good depth behind him with free agent signing Abreu Franklin, who's coming over from San Diego, and last year's free agent Brandon McKinney, who also sat out last season with an injury. Defensive end Corey Redding was a good signing last season for the Colts, as he did a great job in creating pressure and being a constant nuisance up front. They bring in Ricky Jean-Francois from the 49ers to play the opposite side, and there's a host of guys that can give them pretty good depth and a good rotation at that position. For example, Lawrence Guy, Philly Muala had a pretty good year last season, and Nevis out of LSU and Monterey Hughes out of Tennessee Martin. Nevis provides that pass rushing ability, and Hughes is a guy that can play both the nose and the 5. The defensive line will remain fresh in my opinion, and this will be a consistent and versatile unit all season long. This is another solid unit in my opinion. Starting on the outside, you have Robert Mathis, who made a smooth transition to outside linebacker last year, finishing first on the team in sacks with 8. His second year in the system should yield better results. Gone is longtime Colt and future Hall of Famer Dwight Freeney, so there was a huge hole on the opposite side that had to be filled, and the Colts did just that, drafting one of the best pass rushers in the draft and beyond, Warner out of Florida State. Warner was a very good player versus the run, as well as getting after the quarterback, and he should start as a rookie. He'll compete with Eric Weldon, who was signed as a free agent from Green Bay for that spot, and that should be an interesting battle. They also bring in Lawrence Sidbury from the Atlanta Falcons, who's going to make that transition to a stand-up edge rusher. And at the inside linebacker spots, there's Pat Anger, who's a tremendous talent and played hurt all last season, and they was still able to be a productive player. Fully healthy now and better play at the nose tackle position will help him have a bounce-back year. And as you look at the other inside spot, there's 2 guys that could be a good fit for what they're trying to do defensively, and that's Jarrell Freeman, who led the team in tackles last season with 145, and Calvin Shepard, who was acquired this offseason in a trade with the Bills. Both guys are tremendous athletes that would be an excellent fit, as well as Cavell Connor. So there's going to be some good depth here regardless of who the starters are, so the Colts are sitting pretty at the linebacker position. The Colts have a formidable starting quartet in the secondary. At safety is longtime Colt Antoine Bethea, who's one of the more unheralded safeties in the game. And next to him will be free agent signee LaRon Landry, who brings a lot of speed to the position and hits like a linebacker. In the draft, the Colts selected John Boyette out of Oregon, who was a tremendous playmaker for the Ducks but struggled with injuries. I wouldn't be surprised to see him use this season as his redshirt year. And Larry Asante is a guy that I still remain high on, and I still think he can provide good depth along with Joe LaFedge and Sergio Brown at the safety spot. On the corners, last year's midseason pickup Vontae Davis proved to be a good trade for the Colts, as he instantly became their best cornerback and finished the season with 3 interceptions. Free agent Greg Toller was bought in from the Arizona Cardinals to hold down the opposite corner spot, and Toller put up some good solid seasons out there in the desert. Darius Butler and Cassius Vaughn are pretty good nickel guys that can hold their own in the slot or on the boundary. And I want you to keep an eye on both undrafted free agents, Dak Swanson out of Sam Houston State and Sheldon Price out of UCLA, as guys that can make this squad and have an impact. Price is a player that I had a 4th round grade on. I think he's an ideal fit for this defense. I like the kicking game for the Indianapolis Colts. You look at Adam Vinatieri. Some say he's a future Hall of Famer. He's been that good for a long period of time throughout the course of his career. And punter Pat McAfee is a guy that also handles the kickoff duties. That tells you a lot about his leg strength and how well he can boot the ball in the end zone. So they're fine in the kicking department. They're also fine in the return game, as you look at 7th-round draft pick Kerwin Williams probably taking over the kickoff duties from T.Y. Hilton, who probably will return punts. So either way, they're going to be fine with those 2 guys back there returning kicks. Now let's take a look at what the Colts have. They have a very good coaching staff. Despite losing a guy of the caliber of Bruce Arians to the Arizona Cardinals, this is still a very good staff top to bottom. They also have a budding star at quarterback in Andrew Luck. You can't argue that. And they have solid all-around defensive talent. I like the potential of this defense this season. Now, what the Colts like, they don't have a legit threat at the running back position. That could be a problem moving forward. They got to find somebody that can be a constant threat game in, game out. They don't have the depth at the wide receiver that you would like, and they don't have the stability on that offensive line as of yet. That is a wait-and-see type of approach, and these are the things that I think the Colts lack going into the season. Reason for optimism for the Colts is the fact that this is the second year in the system for everybody, for coaching staff, for the players, both offense and defense, so everyone should improve, and they've added talent on the defense side of football. I've stressed that throughout the course of the video. They should be a lot better on that side of the ball. Now, the cause for concern would be the questions at the skill position, more in particular the wide receiving core and the running back core. Those guys have to step up huge, and they have a new offensive coordinator. Last year it was Bruce Arians, and this year is Pep Hamilton. While he has worked with Andrew Luck before at Stanford, there's still an adjustment period to the National Football League as far as working with Chuck Pagano is concerned. The road to the Super Bowl for the Colts goes as follows. Number one, the offensive line coming together and gelling early. That's going to be a key reason why this team has success, if that can happen, and that's why it's number one. Number two, the defense start to create havoc. They got to create sacks and interceptions, get the ball back for that offense. That's something that they didn't do last year, and Andrew Luck has to do a better job with protecting the football. If he can eliminate the turnovers or at least curb what he did last year, get that number down, this team could definitely find themselves in the thick of things in February. I like the Colts to finish second in the AFC South. This is a very talented team, and I think they'd be a lot better defensively if they can find some help in a running game, if they can be more consistent outside of Reggie Wayne and T.Y. Hilton, find that third option if Hayward Bay can step up and be that guy. They have the tight ends to be successful. They have the quarterback to be successful. Chuck Pagano is going to be out there for a full season now, health permitting. So this is a very good team, and they're also sound on special teams. They can even challenge the Houston Texans if they can find that level of consistency. But right now, I have them finishing second behind Houston. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Colt fan forums for always showing football game plan support.